I came back to that full, and that's why I'm grateful for the sugar fasting and sugar diet was like the fucking king of fucking shortcuts. And even more so than the 0 calorie fasting. And it literally brought me back to that intuitively. And it's funny, like we're talking about, like, this is why Ronnie, they would talk about how the guys that could put food back, like, always did the best in open bodybuilding. Because if you were eating like Ronnie's exact diet when he's strict, like chicken breast, rice, grits, there is no fucking way you would ever got to 300 pounds. Ever. You would
Right.
never. Like Ronnie, these guys were only getting maybe like 25 pounds over stage body fat levels, not counting doing the diuretics to drop water and shit. And they were force feeding around the fucking clock. You can't do that on any other fucking macro split. So I like to come at that angle where it's like, you can't get fat on a fucking diet that's low fat, that's fucking got protein. You can't do it. You fucking can't. You can't get over a very good body weight. And you would have to be a machine like those guys to force feed like that to even gain any sort of weight. You know, so a natural bodybuilder, I've seen, like, fuck. Like like you say, that's the perfect example what you said. Lean protein till you, like, I would recommend to people, like I said, lean protein till they're fucking not even hungry. Not like, just like your coach told you, exactly. You know, and the funny part is this message is just so fucking muddled. It's so muddled. Like, even I don't mind, like Sean Baker, okay? This guy's got insane fucking genetics. Like, you know, and his diet is shit. If Baker was eating lean protein and he let go of the fat bullshit, Sean would be fucking ripped.
He works
And
out like a maniac. He works
oh
out
fuck,
hard, you know. So then,
he,
but then
he's
he fills
fucking
it with all that fat.
his work ethic's obviously top notch because he still doesn't understand a lot of these guys. He didn't get fat in the past by eating fucking chicken breast and fucking tilapia and rice. He got fat eating fat. He got fat eating the dietary fat. And not to mention, it just fucks your metabolism, right? So there's that. And that's why you see people that are trying to entertain a lot of fat in the diet with, like, everyone's got their fucking magic macros. It's all bullshit. That's the whole point I'm getting at. The fat doesn't need to fucking be there. And then people end up having to grind the calories low, 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 low. And it's a bad macro split, and the metabolism takes a dirt nap because you got to keep driving the calories down, where your metabolism stays hot when you're on lean protein and fucking carbs. And I'll even go as far as saying lean protein only, like lean protein and vegetables. Most people don't need to ever do that. But if you are hitting that lean protein, like you're going to produce a lot of sugar. So you can actually carb load on fucking lean protein. That's why rabbit starvation's a thing. You don't fucking stall on rabbit meat. You fucking die from getting too skinny. That doesn't happen with your fucking ribeyes and your tomahawks. You know? No, but Baker could be ripped, and he'd be probably like 120 fucking pounds and jacked. And when we're talking holding on to muscle, you know how much more anabolic you are when your metabolism's actually running properly and you have high glucose tolerance? Like, that's why like, people need to take a note from these late 80s, especially the late 80s female bodybuilders, like Corey Everson and like Tara Dudane. You know why? Because those women weren't as extreme as the men, and they were ripped year round, eating clean, no bullshit. And it's like lean meat and fucking and fruit and carbs. And they were ripped year round. And only time that they would actually bring the carbs down, and all, like, just like your coach told you, the protein would come up because they would just focus more on the protein than the carbs. So that's the one time where the carbs will come below the protein count, is before a show. And it was just, now it's just straight fucking laziness. And that's why a lot of these bodybuilding coaches now, I don't even compete. I've never competed in bodybuilding, but it's the same idea when you're trying to cut for powerlifting. It's the same idea. Different physique, but you're trying to hold as much muscle as you can and stay as strong as you can. So, like, I competed at 163 pounds. And at 163 as a natural powerlifter, I had good numbers. Like, you know, I was double bodyweight bencher at 163 pounds, drug free. I was pulling 500, and I was squatting like 420. You know,
Sure.
and I only got down to that weight for one meet. If I knew what I know now, I could have hung out at that lower body weight, and I could have made 74 kilo my main competition weight instead of 83 kilo. You know, so it's the same shit. So I have experience there, like big time, because I competed in powerlifting for fucking years. And
Yeah.
but that's the thing with Baker. He could fucking get. It's just I bust him so bad because that fucking diet, having the high fat, is not natural. It's a man-made diet when you're chasing fat on that meat. If you go back enough years ago, before there's even any domesticated animals, everything is lean as fuck. Lean as fuck. Land animals, it's lean. And that's why lions don't fuck with hippos. Because hippos will kill a fucking lion. That's the last thing a lion goes after. The zebra meat they're eating, that's like the same as Serge Nubret's diet. And did you know that story about how they fucking tried to fucking say Serge Nubret was in a porn movie when he's just in this movie? So then it was in 1974, and they didn't want him to compete against Arnie. Because he fucking would make Arnie look like a fucking fat pig. Because Arnie was still doing old school fucking crappy dieting. You know, Arnie's genetics were crazy, but Serge Nubret was eating like low fucking fat diet, like horse meat, you know, and then when Mansour came into play, Mansour was the first guy that said drop the fats down and ramp the carbs up. And then all those guys and they even got better than Mansour's advice, to be honest. Because Mansour had like a fucking macro split that it was like 15 fat, like 25 protein and 60 carb. But they got better than that. Those women in the late 80s, those female bodybuilders, before all the drugs got crazy, and they were very small, they were like 5'10", getting on stage about 140, 145 pounds. Those women were on point. And if you go back to the fucking late 80s, early 90s and try to find what you can, but even when you go on Google now, Mark, and you try to search diets, it's not coming from the horse's mouth. It's this generalized fucking bullshit. And that's why when you ask Al, you know, AI, like everyone's even since I started talking about this, people are trying to find information, but they're doing it in a lazy way. And it's like, I'm like, ask Al. Al's going to just grab all the shit that's blowing up the internet and give you like a bad piece of advice. You know, that's the way it's going to work.
Yeah. It's going to tell you that you're going to crush your hormones and you're going to run into all these problems. And I talked with Milos Sarcev a little bit recently because you were mentioning
he pushed
some of his diet stuff and how he was very low fat. And so I didn't even realize he was extremely low fat. He was extremely low fat all the time. And he had people coming at him saying like, hey, you need flaxseed oil back in the day when flaxseed oil was a thing. You need Udo's Choice oil. You need EPA and DHA. And he said, he's like, I fell for it. He's like, I fell for those traps here and there, and I took those things. He's like, but I never noticed any difference. It wasn't helpful. It actually seemed like it sent him backwards more.
Yeah.
And so he was eating like 700 to 800 grams of carbohydrates a day. He was like 300 to 500 grams of protein a day. I mean, he's got one of the better physiques in the history of bodybuilding. He looked incredible.
A lot of these guys lost their way. Even one of my mentors that actually went through powerlifting, he was an extraordinary natural bodybuilder in the early 90s in Western Canada, and then he got into powerlifting. And even we had a phone call the other day, and he's mad. He's angry because he's like, fuck. He got sucked in like to keto and the fucking anabolic diet and all this bullshit. And he's literally competed when he was doing everything correct. You know, early 90s, cut the fat right the fuck out, lean meat, carbs. And as far as the hormones go, so anyway, I was going to say, like, people lost their way, even these very good bodybuilding coaches, because that's how powerful the fucking message is with the internet and shit, to be honest. I fucking ate like this my whole life. My mom was like right in the prime, right in that early 90s low fat craze. And I already knew that. And then when I started my YouTube channel, I started pushing some fasting and shit. One thing leads to another. Then you find out about keto and fucking fuck around and fuck your whole goddamn shit up because you know what I mean? And I was already doing this. Like Milos, my buddy, like he was mad that he fucking just let himself swing so far in that pendulum the last like how many years because of the fucking the message that's getting pushed out there. You know, and that's the thing. Like, and what I was gonna say with the hormones, that's a good. So this is the thing I noticed. The women, let's talk to women because they're the ones that always bitch the most about the fucking hormones. As long as you're prioritizing that lean protein and you cater to your sweet tooth with the carbs, let's say you're 400 pounds, you will have no issues because you're giving your body what it wanted, even if the calories are really low. Because as long as your body's happy, it's different when you're restricting and your body's not happy. But if you're hitting the protein and there's no hunger, hunger matters. Hunger does matter. So if there's no hunger from the protein and then you have a sweet tooth later and you have some carbs, even though the calories that day might have been like literally sometimes with these really fat women, it could be like 800 or 900 or who knows if they're not doing much exercise, but they feel good. So the fat comes right off their body. And when you get leaner, intuitively the carbs will come up. Like you'll just eat more carbs, not counting nothing. You just run the fat through the floor, whole foods, no added fucking refined sugar to those fucking sugar sources, lean meat. And what happens, as long as those carbs are up, you'll never hit a wall on that fucking on your hormonal levels. Never. It ain't happening. It's actually the carbs. I've seen more people get put on testosterone doing a fucking strict carnivore diet with a 50-50 macro split, fat to protein, no carbs, and you can shake a fucking stick at, and the fat's sky high. So you know what I mean? It's fucking bullshit. It is. It really is. And it's this is why even yourself, like the sugar diet, sugar fasting, like shit was blowing up on YouTube, and I'm not gonna like you get caught up in the thing, and I'm like, fuck, I seen a fucking pattern within like probably right before I finally just abandoned the whole thing about 2 weeks before. And I'm like, I seen what I learned, and I'm like, yep, this has got to go. And then that's when I just went to low fat diet, and not even saying low fat, high carb, because now it's vegan, just low fat, and fucking push the like just old school low fat fucking diet. That's why I put 1990s low fat diet craze is back, and 1990s low fat bodybuilding diet. Can fat people lose? I even said, can fat women lose weight eating like a 1990s bodybuilder? Right? Like shit, like, which they can. I got women right now, they're fat as hell. Like, fuck, I'm just like, you're not eating like Ronnie. You're just eating the same foods as Ronnie, but you're also, another thing? Those guys weren't eating hardly any vegetables on their bulk because they needed more calories from the starch. So as soon as you tell the fat person protein, vegetables, fruit, starch, like in that order, it's perfect. The only reason those guys would dodge vegetables and fruit because they needed more. They were trying to get in big calories on a low fat diet. So they'd have to knock the vegetables and shit out. That's why they'd use vegetables though when they're cutting, right? Because the volume.